And we are live here for another Shifty Sunday show. And tonight will be a call-in show. We'll have call-ins later on in the program. Uh, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Just waiting on a hurricane to come blow me away.
Well, you hold on tight, brother. Don't worry about that hurricane.
All right.
Get the prayer warriors on it and just blow it out of there. And I'm doing good, blessed as always.
Cool.
And how about yourself there, Mr. Hebrew 77?
Well, I'll tell you what, brother. I feel good as ever. I feel great to be back in my own home, and I feel great. I feel relaxed. I'm glad to be out of that stinking hospital and doing, just sitting here. There's a big difference. You know how it is. I'm sure you've probably been in hospitals before yourself, or maybe at one time or another had to do
I
it.
walked past the front of one once. It sign said hospital. I was like, what's this place? I just kept on walking. I didn't really want to find out.
Right? Well, right on past there. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have blamed you even if you were around my area and didn't want to visit me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're feeling better, sir.
Yeah.
There's no place like home. Even if your home is a little, mud shack in the middle of nowhere, it's still your place, and that's where you feel the most comfortable. It's where you hang your hat.
Well, I'll tell you, man, it sure makes you appreciate it better. Like you said, even if it's like I used to walk in and go, oh man, look at that crack in the wall. Look at this on the floor. And I got this leak in here. Well, you know what? I miss that little crack in the wall, and I miss that little leak on the floor. And I appreciate all those things a lot more now.
Yep. When you say something like that, my mind always goes to like when I'm like leaving a place, like I'm moving out for whatever reason, like I'm breaking up with a girlfriend and I'm getting my stuff and I'm feeling like Steve Martin in The Jerk. All I need is
Yeah.
is this lamp and this paper clip and this pillow. I'll be fine.
And this thermal.
Yeah.
It's funny you should mention that, because that's a shtick that I do with my wife all the time. Every time we talk about something, I said, well, that's fine, because all I need is this right here, and that's all I need. If I'm leaving the room or something, and that'll crack her up, and that'll get her. Like anytime we're in a fight or something like that, if I just throw those lines around, she'll get right out of it and start laughing, and
Yeah, and you know what? That now since you told me that, because I've used that stick before too, and it is, and then you can lighten the mood if you do it the right way. But the time you need to watch out is the one time you do that and she doesn't laugh. Then you're really in hot water. You better check your P's and Q's. Just say
right.
it. Well, there was an awkward moment of silence.
Well, I was typing. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So, are you telling her you're sorry already?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. What?
Nah, I'm just playing.
No.
So it's been like super hot down here, guys. It's been 93 degrees in the shade. And I really do have a hurricane that, if I look at the radar right now, it's still coming straight toward me, and it's only approximately, last time I checked, about 150 miles off the east coast of Florida. I luckily live on the west coast, on the Gulf side. But and they keep assuring us that it's going to change directions and cut itself north and go up. Yesterday, it wasn't even going to touch the coast of Florida. But today they've already adjusted it to that. Yeah, it is probably going to affect the coast of Florida before it goes north. But at what point, you know, I'm just saying I have a lot of faith and confidence in this meteorological science that they have that keeps assuring me that I have nothing to worry about, that I'm in the clear. But on one hand, but on the other hand, I keep looking at the radar and it hasn't changed directions yet. So at what point? I guess when it gets down to about 20, somewhere between 20 and 14 hours, I'm just going to have to. I'm just going to have to say these guys are full of crap, and I'm going to have to get the heck out of Dodge.
Well, you know what? It's like the story about the guy that sitting on top of his roof and he's waiting and the water's coming up and he's like, God will save me. And then all of a sudden these guys come by in the boat and he shoos them away, says, no, God will save me. And then next thing these guys come in a fishing boat or however that story goes, it's just like
no, next it's the Coast Guard. Coast Guard shows up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then a guy on a yacht with lots of exotic fruit and beautiful women. They're screaming, "Come on, fellow guy on the island, come get on the super rich guy yacht with us." And he's like, "Oh no! I believe God's going to come get me. I have faith in God." And then he dies, and he shows up at the pearly gates, and he says, "God, I believed in you. I told everybody you were going to come save me. What happened? Why didn't you save me?" And God says, "Well, I sent a guy in a boat. I sent the Coast Guard, and I sent a rich guy in a yacht with beautiful women. You turned them all down." That's how the story goes.
Oh,
I heard that, but there was always a helicopter in the end, not a yacht. But yep, same story.
I was like, where
Okay, yeah, helicopter.
where did the yacht with the beautiful women came in at? I bet he would have got in that.
I mean, because that's so hard to say no to. What guy in his right mind says no to that?
Well, what I was trying to say and all that was just like, God will send you help, but just look out for the right help. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh yeah, or there's nothing wrong with having faith in the Lord and knowing that He's going to send you a sign, or there will be some type of He'll lay out a path for you. But then when the path arrives, don't ignore it.
Well, and don't forget, even if you're looking out for the right help, don't think that the Father's right help can come in the very weirdest type of package.
Yes. Like, one day
Uh-oh.
I was sitting here. I wish I had.
Sadgie, you're breaking up, Sadgie. Something's happening.
You're roboting out, brother. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Well, while we're waiting on Sadgie to come back, Greg in the chat says he thinks God sent us to help others. See? Absolutely, Greg.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Good point. Hey, while he's fading out. Uh-oh. I'm fading out too.
I was like, man, there was no stuff. Well,
Sadgie,
can you
you're
hear me
still
now?
fading out, bro.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
That sounds
How about
better.
now? No.
You're good now.
I unplugged it and replugged it in. How about now?
Hey, you're sounding good. Pick it up at the top. We lost you at the very beginning.
Oh no, I was just saying about finding the peculiar packages. Like when I first met Hebrew and I saw he was doing Shifty Sunday, I was like, I'm not sure if this guy's going to. I was looking for an outlet to start sharing thoughts with and doing some talk. Talking about things and sharing different concepts. And I saw this guy here getting ready to start a channel, but he does. I met him on a Mandela effect, chat room, and he does these still motion videos with and I'm just not sure if this guy's legit. But you know what? It turned out to be just the right package for what I was trying to do. And Armor Up was there, and look at us now. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like it was a perfect fit after all.
The Father can take the most peculiar packages such as us and do amazing things with them, no doubt.
I've always thought that if I was going to live on an island somewhere, it would probably be the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, I was always attracted to the island of misfit toys. Definitely would have fit in there.
I have such an island in my bedroom.
Why does that not doubt me?
Oh, on that note, I have a special announcement I want to get off my chest real quick before I forget, because last week I forgot. This is the last week for those of you who want to send in your emissions. Am I saying that correctly?
Your Shifty Sunday slogans?
Your Shifty Sunday slogans for the contest, for the t-shirt. We'll be choosing the winners next Sunday on this very program at this very time.
Can you do the whole like tractor pull thing? The Sunday. Yeah. Next Sunday.
This Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, and we have two so far. Last I heard, that are and the two that we have are actually both kind of good. So there's still plenty of opportunity for somebody to come up with a really good one. Something that something that would be a good slogan for us to stay on the show, to print on a T-shirt. We'll continue to use it. We'll send a T-shirt to you with that slogan on it and your name printed, or whatever name you would like printed on the T-shirt. And
that's your favorite Bible verse.
Yeah. And then whatever, and then I guess we're all going to have a T-shirt as well. Are we doing that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I better get a shirt. I was promised from this broadcast I'd at least get a stupid shirt. Even Dan gets a shirt and a coffee cup. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's official then. You'll have official Shifty Sunday gear. And then if you send a picture of yourself wearing the shirt and wouldn't mind us sharing it on the show, we would be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, you can cut your head out if you're shy.
Yeah, if you don't want to be seen. Which I can understand that. If we all wanted to be seen, we wouldn't have avatars, right?
Well, some of us have a face for TV, some of us have a face for radio.
I don't mind being seen. It just ain't about me, so I just don't bother showing myself. But if anyone wants to see me, heck, I'm in videos.
I did catch that one interview that was done by Michelle's Opinions, by the way. It was a nice little interview.
Yeah, that was a while ago, like probably a year ago, maybe, or a little more now. I think it was August. I don't even know what I said. Hopefully it was cool. I never know what I say. I just go with the flow, man. I
think you told a little bit about your background, about where you came from and how you were able to come out of it and get involved in all this. And where
well, shoot, that sounds rather interesting. I might have to go look for that. Yeah. I'll know more about you after watching that than I do now.
Right?
Yeah. Well, there's one on my channel too. It has a little bit of my testimony.
Okay.
And that's the way that whole video came up was that there's a whole story behind that video in itself. That was it was a part of a series. I'll just make a long story short. This is sort of wild. It shows you how the spirit works if you just listen, pay attention to him, and let them do what they want. Put it that way. So the first one in the series, it was called, the series was called Wolves Among Us in Sheep's Clothing, or something like that. Wolves in Sheep's Clothing Among Us, something to that effect. But basically, I was calling out a false doctrine, the one that got a mini series of hate videos made about me by the people I was talking about. But I never name anyone because that ain't what you're supposed to do. I named them privately. I took it to them, but I just made a video warning everybody about this false doctrine, in my opinion, that was going around by being taught in our group. And so I did a part 1. Well, then I got all ready to do the part 2 and had, figured what I was going to do, and boom, it was like, no, it ended up being my testimony. So it wasn't supposed to be my testimony, at least in my mind, but it just goes to show when you truly let the Spirit do it. It was like, no, we're going to do this for part 2. And I'm like, but that don't even, what about the title? Leave the title alone, just put my testimony. So it ended up being 2 parts itself. So, but yeah, if you're interested in a little bit of my stupid story for whatever weird reason, those videos are back there somewhere in my collection.
All right. Good to
They're
know.
probably about 2 years old, maybe a year and a half, 2 years old, something like that, probably.
I would like to check that. That'd be awesome. Well, we're gonna
whatever I say, I'm going to make a long story short. I always end up making a short story long. That's what I always end up doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too. I tried to make it short as possible.
But while we've got some time, we're gonna open the phone lines a little bit later on. But why we've got a little bit of time here, God's Armor, would you like to give the room a quick shout out?
Absolutely, brother. We have Reigning Redemption. The first one's in the house this evening. Always great to see my brother and sister, the SNS. Can't wait to get the book. We need to have them on as a guest some week, brother, because Shauna just had a book that she just got published and put out for the kids that I'd like to help promote. And Scotty just released a new song. I haven't got to listen to it yet. I'm so far behind on my videos, but I did notice he had released a new song I want to listen to. But we need to have them on to just talk about what they got going on some week, maybe. Let's see.
Sure.
Red Shirt Blues in the house. Oiler Greg. Chucko R. Scrolling down. Jenny Per T. That's it in the house so far. Welcome, everyone. Glad you're here.
Yeah, welcome. Oiler Greg, how's that report coming along? Tell us in the chat room.
Yeah, he did say in the chat, he said, when I do my Mandela report, I'll probably do his face reveal also. Awesome. All my previous videos were fun or silly. Mandela is deadly serious, although I'm usually not, even now, with a smiley face.
Right. Well, you know what? I agree that Mandela is serious.
I think he's asking me what the video title was. He says, I will have to look what was video title. I guess he's talking to me about my video. I think it was something like Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. I think that's what it's called. Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. If you just type search on my page, if you know how to do that, and put in wolves, it'll probably come up. But it was part 2A and B, I think, is my testimony part. It says my testimony, so. But yeah, I think it was Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. It was a while back. I'll go find a link. That'd be easier. Hold on. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, we will do that. We're good. We're good at that. So, Hebrew, I got a question for you.
Yep.
All right. So, we kind of made mention of this. We would talk about this before we came online. And it's something that I've been thinking about lately because I got on my phone and I was scrolling through some of my old pictures, like like on Google Photos or whatever on the cloud. It saves I can go all the way back to 2007, believe it or not, on my Google phone, like on my Google Photos or whatever, which is pretty far back if you think about it. What 2000? We're almost
But
to 2020 now, or 2019. That's like 13 years, isn't it?
2001,
7.
2007 be like 17. Yeah, I guess close
Well,
to
2007 to 17 would be 10 years.
right,
18 is 11. 19 is 12. So almost 13, but like 12 and a half years, okay?
right. Got you.
And,
I'll take your word for that. I'm not no good with math.
well, yeah, well, it's more than 10. We'll just agree, consensusly agree. I could go back more than 10 years. And, I was seeing some old pictures of me and my dog. I used to have a Mastiff. His name was Diesel.
Ooh, Diesel.
He was an Italian Mastiff, so I made his middle name Maserati. I actually had papers on him, so I had to look up how to spell Maserati because I had never actually spelled it before. But since he was Italian, I made Maserati his middle name, which is kind of a oxymoron off his first name, Diesel, like the truck,
Did
like a
you ever
diesel
feed him
truck.
pizza?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's Italian dog. You'd have to do that, you know.
Oh yeah. And he was a great dog. And there was times when he was alive that certain mannerisms, certain things that he did, and just the way that he would act and react, and certain things that he did, he reminded me of a dog I had when I was a child. And there was times when I was almost convinced that he was my dog from when I was a little boy. And I used to run around in the cornfields. This is like 10, 11, 12 years old, that somehow this dog came back to me in the form of this big old, Italian Mastiff. Now, it wasn't so overwhelming that, like, exact that, I was 100% convinced. And I'm not even trying to say that that's exactly what happened, but there was times when I was almost convinced that it did. And it got me thinking, well, then do dogs have a soul? Like, I know they have a life force. I know that they are conscious and aware. I know they can learn. I know that they are generally good natured. So then I got to thinking, well, does the dog have a soul? I mean, everybody's heard the expression, all dogs go to heaven. And a lot of times I think it's even made mention somewhere, somehow, that like when you die, all the things you love, including, things of that nature, could possibly be in heaven with you. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but it seems like I've heard that reference before. So I guess what I want to ask you is, what do you think? Do you think dogs have a soul? I know I'm kind of opening the door here for every living thing to have a soul, but right now I'm just saying dogs just for argument's sake.
Yeah, just for argument's sakes, dogs. Well, like we were talking when we were off the air, I was telling you this story, and just for everyone to hear, I'll go ahead and repeat it. Yeah, I was my we had a family dog, when I was younger, growing up, and that dog passed away a few years ago. I think back in, oh shoot, it had to be 2000 and let's see, when did the 2004, and I think we had him since like 90. I want to say 96 or 97, since he was a little pup. Um, and so anyway, when that dog passed, the dog used to sleep with my grandpa and grandma at the foot of their bed. And months after the dog had passed, my grandmother would tell me that she could feel like, how when someone sits on the end of the bed or on the couch or whatever, you could kind of feel like a heavy sort of presence pushing it down, like a sort of weight on the end. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. I get what you're saying.
So anyway, she could swear that she felt that dog still laying on the foot of the bed, And also, the other thing is, every morning when she would wake up, she would find one leaf. There would be just one single solitary leaf, on the floor there at the foot of the bed every morning. And every morning she would pick it up, throw it away. And by the next morning, there was always that solitary leaf there. And then I guess after a year or so went by or so, all this stopped. So to answer your question, I absolutely believe that dogs have a soul. And whether or not they go to heaven or wherever they go, if they go to some other kind of plane of existence, I couldn't tell you. But to make the short answer, well, I think I made the short answer long.
No, that's an interesting
Yeah.
take. I mean, I can relate to the after something passing with the story of my own. It's not really dog related per se, but it was my grandma. She always had a thing for cardinals, and she would always talk about how every time she saw a cardinal outside in her tree, it would make her think of her mom because um, her mom liked cardinals as well, and it was kind of a thing I guess that passed on to her to where she collected like ceramics, like little cardinal ceramics, and she would have like like a cardinal theme, shower curtain or something like that. Like she was kind of into the cardinal thing, and um, shortly after she passed, I started noticing all these cardinals, like in trees, and like when I wake up in the morning, having my coffee on my back porch, there'd be a cardinal just right there in plain view, like it's like making itself purposely seen, and it really kind of struck me funny because on one hand I'm like, am I am I just noticing the cardinal now because I'm thinking about my grandma and mourning her loss, and I'm just taking more notice, or are these cardinals really making themselves seen in a way because it's my grandma trying to show me that she's still there with me, or that she's okay, or whatever, just as a reminder of her presence. And it's definitely one of those things where I think it uh, I think I mean, I think it's both are capable. I think on one hand, I was probably noticing them, being more active of noticing them, simply because, I was thinking of my grandma a lot. But on the other hand, I have to say there was a ridiculous large amount of cardinals showing up for it to, and over time it slowly, gradually dissipated. So I'm with you on that. I think that there's some truth to that. I know that it's probably not exactly, um, you know, exact. I don't know what to say. I think there's some truth to that, and I know it's not really dog related, but but then that goes into, I guess, like you mentioned earlier, like right before we came on air, you said, well, then you're opening the book as to, does a cat have a soul? Does a frog have a soul? Does a spider have a soul? I
Right.
mean, I guess all these things have life forces. So I guess the argument could be made: do they, as to whether or not they do or they don't? I mean, what do you think? Does everything that breathes and have a life force also given a soul?
Well, I'm going to tell you this real quick. If every animal does have a soul, does that mean like every single rabbit and every single deer and every single squirrel I ever killed while I was hunting, when I used to hunt them, are they going to come back and haunt me and chase after me and start shooting at me?
Well, I think if they were going
That's
to, they would have
that's a
started
scary
doing it
thought.
already.
That's a
Yeah.
very scary thought. No, but seriously though, I mean, animals are capable of showing emotion. They're capable of showing love, empathy.
Hmm.
They're capable of showing sadness. I mean, let's say, for example, you have a cat and a dog, and the cat and dog grow up together, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a cat and a dog. It could be a dog and another dog, and and I've seen this before. And one dog dies, and
Hmm.
you look over and you notice the other dog is going to be
Is
sad, and it's
is
not.
mourning the loss? Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna,
And not
not.
only will they mourn a loss, but sometimes a dog will never get over it. Like we're a human, some humans never get over it too, but dogs sometimes are known for not ever getting over a loss like that. If they're close to something or a particular individual and it goes away or, quits showing up for whatever reason, they just don't ever act the same after that.
Or you can even put it in human terms too. If an animal's master dies or it's whatever.
Yeah, whenever something like a loss like that, a dog will definitely is definitely affected by it. Even if it's not even if it's not dead, if like you give the dog to a new owner, like or like say or you it's really close to your child and your child goes away to college and all of a sudden the dog mopes around the house for the next year.
Now that brings up another interesting topic. Also, is like just because it are animals that aren't capable of showing emotions, do they not necessarily have souls, or are they capable of showing emotions, but we just haven't learned how to interpret them yet?
Well, here I'm going to tell you something, and this is going to. I'm almost afraid to share this because I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I'm going to say it because I think it needs to be said. Not too long ago, down here in Florida, we have water bugs that look like cockroaches on steroids. I mean,
Oh,
they are really big. They're like the big one could be almost the size of the palm of your hand. Not quite, but it's getting close to that. Let's say a child's hand. Like if a cigarette lighter, as long as a cigarette lighter. Okay.
oh,
All right. So I wake up early one morning before it's daylight because that's usually when you catch one. You might spot one, and I go out into the garage to use the utility sink, and I see one there on the ground, and he's flipped over. He's stuck on his back, and his legs are up in the air, and he's squirming, and his little legs are twitching, and his antenna is trying to flip him around, and he's stuck on his back, and I'm sitting there looking at him, and he's all moving and wiggling and doing all kinds of super fast movement because I turn on the light and I'm standing there and vibrations are happening, and I even speak out loud. I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing down there?" And he's twitching, and trying to flip himself over, and I'm caught in a moral dilemma. A, I can just take my foot and instantly squish him and be done with him, which was my first initial thought.
mhm.
Or B, I could get a paper plate and a cup and take him outside and let him free. Or C, I could just let him lie there on his back and leave it in God's hands, so to speak, as to either he'll figure out a way to flip himself over and live and scurry off, or he'll just lay there on his back until he dies. And it made me think, oh my God, this thing is alive. He's obviously freaking out because I came in here and scared him and turned the light on, and uh, so
Yeah.
like I feel some type of way. Like now all of a sudden it's my responsibility, like what I should do. So I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I know that it's just a bug and it really is nothing to just squish him, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
So what did you do?
Well, at first I decided just to leave him there, and I was like, he's not like he's going to die right away. I left him there because I was in there trying to I was rinsing out a cup. I was trying to get a cup so I could make some coffee. So I went out and I made my coffee. I sat down and I had my coffee. And I went back out there, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later to check on him. And he had flipped himself over and ran away.
Oh, okay.
But I really did go through a moral moment where I had to decide. Like I didn't have it in me just to squish him. Because
Right.
it's not like I have a bug problem. It's not like I'm infested with bugs. He's just one little dude out hanging out in my garage, and
Right.
he looked kind of freaked out. So I just decided not to just kill him right away. And we have geckos down here, and
Right.
geckos eat those things up. So
Ooh.
I knew he would later become a gecko meal. I mean, I have geckos for days. You can't. Every time I go out and check my mail, there's a little gecko in the bottom of my mailbox looking
They
at.
need to get insurance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's where they came from. That
Yeah.
that particular insurance is based out of Florida. That's why they
I know.
use him as a slogan.
Right.
But I can look out on my back patio, and there's any given time during the day, there's 5 or 6 of them running around.
Well, I want to chime in on the animal stuff a bit here.
Okay. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
But I'm going to go like backwards from what you discussed. That way I might remember better everything I wanted to say.
All right.
As far as you seeing all the cardinals because they were special to your grandma, there's a couple ways you could look at that. As you said, it's sort of like when we get a new car, not necessarily a new car, but a car, and then all of a sudden we start seeing a lot of the same model car.
Yeah, I've done that.
It could sort of relate to that. It could also be, well, we'll get into this theory when we get to the next topic, but it could be that. That's one thing it could be, because that happens to a lot of us. I mean, a lot of times you get a new car and boom, all of a sudden you start seeing all these cars that are the same as your car. A lot of times,
Or before you didn't pay them any attention because it was just another car. Yeah.
Right. So it could be related to that. And like you said, it could just be because you're thinking of your grandma more, so you're noticing the cardinals more. Highly likely also. Now, as far as the dog jumping on the bed feeling after it had passed, here's where a couple interesting theories popped into my head. It could possibly just be the power of our own mind trying to comfort our own mind and creating that sensation. It could also be, and this would relate to anything like feeling a dead relative still around, or knowing that feeling that they come back to let you know they're all right, or something to that effect, or smelling a perfume they used to wear, or a cigar they smoked, whatever type of thing like that on a personal level, to someone to help ease them through the loss. That could be looked at as a demon posing as them, which is usually what we think. But it just struck me while you guys were talking. We know the Holy Spirit is a comforter. So it could possibly be the Spirit using that to comfort us through the pain, through the loss, through the time of healing. It very easily could be that. I never thought of that before. I just thought of that while you guys were talking. It's sort of blowing my mind right now. But we always tend to think if it's a dead relative, we tend to lead to be careful that's a demon being a familiar spirit, as Zeb just said, that the Bible warns us about, which is true. There are familiar spirits and we have to be careful. And that's why I think more of a haunted house, the ghost hunter type experience, I think they're dealing with a familiar type spirit because it's not a personal thing to them. But I think like if it's like, I think you said it was your grandma, Hebrew, who the dog jumped up on the bed, I believe. But I think if it's something like that, where it's a personal thing, where they're trying to heal from a loss, then the Holy Spirit could easily use something familiar to let them know that someone's all right, or just let them know that a little bit of them is always going to be with them. A little bit of their spirit is always going to be with them. Now, whether animals even have spirits, which is where we started the conversation. Again, this all just come to me while you guys were talking. I was thinking about it, and it sort of came to me that it does say in the Bible, when the earth got corrupted at the fall, whatever you want to call it, that everything got corrupted, including the animals. So if they were to be able to be corrupted, then that would lead me to think they would have some type of spirit or soul to corrupt. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. So that sort of right there, although I never thought about it before, almost sort of makes me now believe that they definitely have some type of soul because they were able to be corrupted and are going to be uncorrupted someday, just like everything else. It says the whole earth will be made new, the whole earth, everything, the animals.
And then if you go into the Noah thing, I mean, God had him save, with two of each species. I mean, there must have been a reason for saving all those animals. I mean, building that big boat for everybody to get on it. I mean, I'm just saying that. I'm not, but I mean, I don't know. That's just what the first thought I had.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to share on it. Interesting things to think about, I think.
Yeah.
It just gave me interesting things to think about while you guys are talking. But
And then what is your take on my moral dilemma with the water bug?
oh well, I think that's just how should I put it? Basically the spirit within you, you're getting more in tune with it. Because I think Father created everything, so of course everything's important to him. He don't want us just willy-nilly killing stuff, in my opinion. Now, there's a difference if your family's starving and there's something you can eat walking by. I don't know. Is it all right to kill that and eat? I don't know. He did have a dream with Peter and said kill and eat, so I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think everything matters to the Father, which sort of leans to a Buddhist perspective. You know what I mean? But I really do think everything that's alive matters to the Father, including the trees and plants and animals. And he created it all. It was all meant for a wonderful thing.
But it does seem like, I mean, it always gets flown out the water, though, when it comes to a fly. I mean, we've even created the fly swatter. And I never feel the least bit of guilt or dread or moral sympathy for splattering a fly. Actually, sometimes I kind of feel victorious when I catch that booger.
Hey, even Mr. Miyagi killed flies, so it or he tried to, with them chopsticks.
Flies and mosquitoes, they're not on the list.
Hey, it's either.
I don't think he killed it. I think he left it go, actually, unless that's a matter of fact.
When it comes to mosquitoes, it's either kill or be killed. You know what I mean? Anymore,
Right.
and I think somewhere in the Bible it does say something about if there are varmints who are meaning you some harm, then you are allowed to kill them. I think it talks about like rats and mice and cockroaches and stuff like that is what it means by varmints. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I mean, like we're kind of going down a rabbit hole at this point, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
That, but we do know that David killed a lion and Samson killed animals. I mean, yeah, we know Bible characters killed animals. So,
but no,
and I mean, the thou shalt not kill. Does it specify what you shall not kill?
I think that means mostly other humans, right?
I mean, it just says, but does it say humans at the end?
No, not really, but I think it's okay to kill for food. And like I said, it's okay to kill if they're aiming to kill you, kind of like in self-defense. But don't take my word on that. Let's ask.
No, I mean, the thought just crossed my mind. That's all. It's stuff that I've never really thought about before, so I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
God's armor, what do you think about this?
well, I think the closer proper translation, first of all, will be you shouldn't murder, not kill. So, and then when it comes to murder, what is murder? If someone's got a gun and getting ready to kill you, are you murdering them by getting them first? You know what I mean? Or is
Right.
that self-defense. In a court, that's not murder, that's self-defense. How does the father look at it? I don't know. It's way beyond my knowledge to know what that means, but I know it means more murder than kill. According to their God, you can kill all the sheep and goats you wanted. Doves, they were slaughtering all kind of animals to appease their God, supposedly. So if you're going by the Old Testament God, it was quite all right to murder all kind of stuff. He loved it. Pour out the blood. It's a sweet smelling thing. So I guess it all depends on what God you want to follow. First of all, as to whether or not he likes it if you kill animals, because if it's the Old Testament God, he obviously didn't mind you killing animals. In fact, he had certain ones he liked better than other ones to get killed. So if you follow a more New Testament type father like I do, well, then I think he cares about everything, and we shouldn't kill or murder anything, just to do it. Again, now, if my family's starving and a deer walks out, it's going down. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. But I'll be thankful for it. I'll so the Indians had it right at that respect. They always gave thanks for every kill. They always thanked it for its spirit and giving them food. I mean, is that wrong? I don't think so. I think it's great to thank the Father for everything you receive. So a deep subject. What does it mean, thou shalt not murder? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. And it's whatever God you follow will tell you that. Some of them don't mind if you murder babies. Like I said, the Old Testament God don't mind if you murder animals or babies at times. Let's not forget about that. So yeah, depends on what God you're following, I guess, as to what that might mean.
And you know what? The thing is, when the Native Americans killed a deer or whatever, they used the whole deer, not just the meat. They used the skins, the antlers. They used everything. And I think even they even use the entrails for something. I don't think anything on the animal went to waste when they killed an animal. And I think they gave thanks also for that animal.
Oh yeah, they always gave thanks.
Well, I mean, I think that pretty much sums that up. I mean, I just kind of wanted to throw out there the thought of them having a soul in general, because I've recently came through that thought process, and I wanted to kind of bounce it off you guys.
Well, I'm glad you did. It makes for an interesting topic for sure.
Do you guys want to open up the phone lines and give them? Do we have some people in chat, Armor?
Oh yeah, we got quite a few in chat. Probably 7, 8, 10. I don't know.
Maybe.
In there.
Yeah, maybe someone will want to come in and chime in on the subject or tell a story of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. The lines are open, so I'm going to be off this window, guys. So I'll be at the Uber conference window. I'll let you know if we get a caller.
Ah, cool. Well, the number's up there on your screen, everybody. If everyone can see the banner, if not, we'll put it in chat. Somebody can put it in chat.
Well, they don't need it in chat if it's on the screen. That's why I asked you if you had the banner.
Right. True.
Zeb says he sees 13 in chat. Cool. I can't see the count from here. So.
Yeah, that's. How does he see 13?
I'm going to chat. When you're in chat, you can see who's in chat.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I could see it at the top of my screen where the eyeball is, but
Yeah, if you're on the YouTube page watching, it shows you how many's watching.
Cool.
You knew that.
I did?
I've seen you say before, like in Dan's show, like there's like 200 people watching and only 2 thumbs up or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Duh. I was thinking of something else. Eddie Von Keen says he's kind of scared of the duck. I guess that's why he won't call in.
He's scared of the duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been
StreamYard.
hearing something in the background. Is that what that was?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the duck. Quack, quack, quack. I can't.
I hear.
do it.
When we were talking, I heard something in the background. I wasn't sure what it was. I was going to ask you, and I didn't get a chance to.
Something in my background.
Well, just then, while we were talking, I'm not sure if it was coming from your end or I thought it maybe was my fan, like, and it was echoing. I really wasn't sure. So I moved into this other room.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring up your channel.
But
there it is.
There we go. All right, cool. I think I'm going to bring this up on YouTube, even though I can see everybody in here. So how many people have I got in here that's got a wrench? I got quite a few people with wrenches, don't I?
Well, I see Eddie Von King and Jocko. That's it with the wrench.
Okay. I'm trying to cut back on the number of people with wrenches because here lately,
Well, an armor.
if everyone has a wrench, then how is everyone supposed to monitor everyone else?
Well, yeah, you don't want to have everyone have a wrench. You don't want to get wrench happy.
Get wrench happy.
I don't have any on my channel. I don't do the wrenches.
You get wrench happy.
I did give Dan a wrench one week though because he wanted to kick Fizzy out. So I gave him a wrench for a week or two, and then I had to take it back. I don't do wrenches on my channel. I'm the wrench.
Get wrench happy. Next thing you know, everyone's kicking everyone else out. Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, I mean, they could if there was a particular person in chat like Eddie Von King, and he's not real fond of this other guy, and he's like, well, you know what? I don't like that. Boom, you're out of here, buddy.
Oh, by the way, it's not Eddie Von King anymore. It's Eddie Van King. He's the king of all vans.
Oh yeah, I see that now. The Van King, like he's got a van dealership.
Yeah.
Okay. That does sound like a guy that would own like a van dealership. Like, can you see it like
got a hold of him. I just bought a Honda Odyssey minivan. I should have got a hold of Eddie the Van King first.
Eddie the Van King, yeah, you get the best deals.
I think I'm the one that came up with that. I'm like, hey, I dare you to call yourself Eddie Van King. I think he was in Freaky Friday or something like that. It's like, just see what Dan says. Just leave it up there. And Dan was all like confused. He's like, what? No, you didn't. You're not. What? No.
Okay, so I'm reading the comments now. You met the StreamYard duck. And you know what? I can see how somebody could be scared of that. He's just up there in the corner just looking at us.
It's the one-eyed duck. He is a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So, Sad, you got any quick stories to tell us before we get any phone calls?
Well, no, I didn't actually bring anything up yet, so you put me on the spot.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, wait. Yes, I did.
I know you did.
Yeah.
You're calling me out. I know. Seeing just how prepared I really am.
Eddie the Van King said free used mattresses with every van included, so I'm sort of glad I went on my own.
Well, used mattresses should be free.
I would hope it was free if it was used. Ugh.
Oiler Greg said it. He lives in a van down by the river.
Oh, I love that bit.
Hey,
Well,
Connie, your wood in the house.
I think you're the only one, Connie. Oh,
Hell,
wait, no,
Connie,
Jenny's in here.
Jenny's here. Jenny
Yep.
was here. She's
Yep.
here somewhere.
Okay.
All right.
So
Got the story.
on my short inspirational stories. Last week I told the number one story. Remember, it was kind of sad. So
It was short, but I don't know if it was very inspirational. I'm gonna have to.
yeah.
I'll
So
go with.
we're gonna go with number 5 today. We only have 2 or 3 left. I'm gonna have to find a new source. So we haven't done number 5 yet, and it's called The Butterfly. And since I was talking about, we're talking about everything from animals to bugs. We'll do this one, okay? All right. It's in parentheses. It has struggles, so we'll see where this goes. A man found the cocoon of a butterfly. One day, a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole, until it suddenly stopped making any progress, and it looked like it was stuck. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, although it had a swollen body and small shriveled wings. The man didn't think anything of it and sat there waiting for the wings to enlarge to support the butterfly. But that didn't happen. The butterfly spent the rest of its life unable to fly, crawl around with tiny wings and a swollen body. Despite the kind heart of the man, he didn't understand that the restricting cocoon and the struggle needed by the butterfly to get itself through the small opening were God's way of forcing fluid from the body of the butterfly into its wings to prepare itself for flying once again out of the cocoon. So, with that being said, I guess, the moral of that story is sometimes it's not better to intercede and to let somebody kind of figure it out for themselves, right? Let them tackle the challenges on their own.
Yep, absolutely. I think it goes to show that when you interfere with the way God plans on doing things with people, then it usually don't work out for their best interest. Father knows best.
Yep. Which takes me back to what I did with the water bug. I decided to leave him there to figure it out for himself, and I came back and he was gone. Now either he became gecko food or he flipped himself over and ran away. I'm not sure which happened.
Yeah, they say you can teach a water bug to crawl,
or how to flip itself over,
or how to flip itself over for a day. You flipped him over for a day, but if you leave the water bug to flip it over for himself, you've taught him to flip it over for himself for a lifetime, or until he gets eaten by that gecko, whichever comes first.
Hey, we got Lorraine in the house, so there's another woman in the house with Connie.
Well, there you
go. All right.
It's not a total sausage fest then.
We had to go there. You really went.
Hey, it is Shifty Sunday. So, just saying.
But now that you scared off all the women, it is one.
Right? Hey,
all right, so the phone lines are open. We're patiently awaiting callers.
I was going to say, I keep it real. I keep it real. Got to keep it real,
Lorraine said, "Thanks." Did somebody say sausage?
Connie's asking about the hurricane. Yeah, Sedgey's possibly in the path. So
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, Connie. I'm actually in Tampa, Florida, and it's currently heading straight for me. And the meteorologists keep trying to convince me that it's going to turn north and not come straight to me. Yet I'm still waiting for that actual direction change to occur. And I was asking earlier, at what point do I quit believing that the word that it's going to change directions if it doesn't? And I came to the conclusion when it seems to be less than 12 hours away, if it hasn't changed direction by then, I'm getting the heck out of here. Eddie Van King says, why not a dog 5 hurricane?
yeah, why they always got to be cat 5s?
I know, right? Zeb says God lives in a whirlwind, it says in scripture.
Yo.
I tell you what, though, we did have some really good storms this afternoon, but for whatever reason, like the proverbial storm cloud over your house, like person was walking down the street and that little storm clouds following them everywhere they go, so to speak. Well, I kind of had the opposite today. I could hear these intense thunderstorms off in the distance, but one never actually made it to me. I mean, it rained a little bit, but man, I could hear some really large thunder rumbles, like roar, like it sounded like God was like really doing some stuff somewhere. It was loud and it was long and rumbly, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's some big storms coming!" I heard them off in the distance all afternoon, but they never made it to my house.
Hey, Sadgie, how'd that go again? What noise did they make?
It was.
Okay.
Hey, we do have a caller, just so you know.
All right. Well, let's. I digress. I'm to the point where I'm making lame sound effects for thunder.
Yeah.
So.
You know it's getting bad when he's the one making sound effects. Okay, well let's put him.
Yeah, Hebreo's the one having me repeat them versus me having him repeat his.
Right. I'm ready when you are.
We got Bloomington on the line. You're live.
Did somebody say sausage?
Hi, Lorraine.
It's me. How are you?
Well,
Guess what? I have great news.
All right, we're ready to hear it.
It's my birthday today.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I had breakfast at Denny's and had a free meal. I got more food too and paid for it. And then I had just got back from Cracker Barrel where you get a free dessert. So most birthdays I'm too busy doing other stuff to do that. So I finally did that.
Heck
Not a
yeah.
big deal. Hey, well, Armor, I've been listening a couple times. I've listened to your Wednesday word show, and about 3 weeks ago, I was typing a comment at the end of the show, and then I hit a button and it disappeared, and then it was over, and I couldn't type my comment. But it was the one where he was talking about the gifts we can receive. And I was happy to hear that, because sometimes people they're so afraid of someone having any kind of psychic impression or intuition or being sensitive to energies and things like that. They think that's something to be feared. So it was good. I liked hearing that, because I don't think it should be feared. Do you remember that show, Armor?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you checked them out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I liked his style. He seemed very approachable and down to earth. And I haven't watched. I know I watched the following week, but I didn't see it this past Wednesday. But the other thing was, I looked up the show, the interview you did where you were on camera.
Oh, Michelle's channel. Yes, that was awesome. I love Michelle.
And you're a lot cuter than I pictured you.
Well, thank you.
You look to me like you're Papa Walton with a Mario mustache. You know.
There you go. It depends on what time of year you catch me. In the winter, my hair's long, beard's growed out. I got my winter wool. So in spring, I'm shaved bald, and so yeah, depends on when you catch me.
Yeah.
You should see him when he's got his plumber hat on and the overalls.
What about overalls?
I said you should see him when he's got his plumber hat on and the overalls.
Okay. Well, I see what you mean. Yeah.
The Mario mustache. Yeah.
So, I may have a quick Mandela effect, and then I could tell this other story about something else. I have a young relative of mine had a poem he wrote, and it was published on some school newspaper that was put online. So years ago, I read it, and in the end of the poem, it says her regarding what he was talking about. And then when I found it again recently, it said him. I'm like, wait a second, it didn't say him before. You know, so that was weird. And I don't want to go into great detail about it. It was just he was like a teenager in high school and he wrote it. But that was bizarre. But now, do you want to hear a real life demon story?
That sounds like a trick question.
What?
I said that sounds like a trick question.
It's not. It isn't.
Okay.
I actually have one. And I was raised Catholic, although I wasn't really going to church after like middle school. My mom was Catholic, my dad was Lutheran, and so we weren't forced to go to church. My mom didn't even go. But anyway, so in all my upbringing, no one talked about demons. You know, the devil was mentioned, but not demons. Okay. Some years ago, I happened to see a photograph of someone who's on a television show, and I won't say who. So in this picture of this guy, to the left of him, as you look at him you see on the right, these funny, weird little faces that kind of showing up. So through Facebook and through some other friends, I know someone who's a spirit medium, and he can even tune in long distance. So I asked him, well, what do you think that is? So he tuned in and he said, I think it's demons and they're messing with him. They haven't possessed him, but they're messing with him. I said, well, what do we do? And he says, well, I know a shaman. And he referred me to a shaman who is this woman in New Jersey. And so when I showed her the picture, she recognized who it was because she knows the show. So I said, what do we do? And she said, well, I can do some journeys with my spirit guide. So she started doing this. Was going to do 3 total, but did 1, and then said, well, I think they're kind of, they've showed up just because he's got to deal with personal issues in his own life. And if he tells them they have to go, then they have to go and they'll leave. But he's got to tell them that. So I was trying to get him a message to do that. I don't know if he wasn't responding to my messages, and I don't know if he ever told them to do that. Well, she in total did about 3 journeys. And the very last one cut the cords that any attachment they would have to him were gone. And so after that, I think things got better. He ended up having some other like career successes after that. But in the meantime, while this was going on, because it was over a period of like 2 or 3 weeks, it wasn't all at once. I'm in my little tiny apartment, and the heat starts failing. And this is, building that's got several small apartments on one floor. And so the heat starts dropping and dropping, and the heater won't work. And it's in winter time, and I don't like to be cold. So my room, and actually I like it warmer than most people. So my room, I mean, I literally would have the thermostat set at 77 because that's where I felt comfortable. So I can get chilly and cold at 74 and 72. So it's dropping down to the high 60s, mid 60s. I think it was on a weekend, so I called the management and say, look, my heat's not working. It's getting colder and colder. And they don't respond. They don't respond. Hours later, I call back, and I'm calling several times, and I say, hey, it's at this temperature now. And they have the janitor guy who lives in the building show up. And he comes in my little apartment. He goes, well, it's like 65 in here. It feels fine to me. And I'm like, well, you're not the one living here. I live here. I'm cold. And so it ended up getting fixed or worked on or whatever. But the thing is, what my friend, the spirit medium, said was, when demons know that you're trying to kick them out, they'll come after you too. And they go after what makes you, what you hate the most. And growing up, my mom would, trying to save money in the winter in upstate New York, would turn the thermostat down to 55 degrees at night because that's as low as the thermostat would go. And I don't think she ever did the math to figure out, well, in the morning, then you're going to have to reheat the whole house, like, 10 degrees or more. So it was very cold, very often for me. And I don't like that. So this whole experience was something, I never expected. And I also, sometimes I've seen horror movies and all that, but this glamorization of evil and suffering I have absolutely no interest in, because if you've been through that yourself, and this was a mild case compared to some things people go through, if you've been through that, you realize there's nothing fun about it. It's pain, it's suffering, it's torture. It's someone, trying to stick it to you to make you suffer. And there's nothing interesting or entertaining about that. And I don't even want to go to movies where they talk about that or bring it up, or even like these ghost shows. Oh, we're going to go look for ghosts. Well, you're stupid. Okay. Leave the ghost alone. Stay out of the abandoned buildings. Don't post it on YouTube. I mean, you know what I mean? It was, and that building I lived in already had negative energies there. And there was a murder there many years ago, like 100 years ago. And the spirit medium said, the evil spirits have been there so long, they feel it's theirs. And I would see this in ways that, like, the management wouldn't want to stand up to. I had neighbors who were harassing me, and it was, a low-income building, so you share the bathroom and kitchen with other people. So you have to interact with people more than normal, but they weren't following the rules. And I filed so many complaints about some individuals, and this was before the demon thing. It's just that there was already negative stuff there. So that's my, and ironically, the photo, I mean, when I look up the person, I can still see the same photo is still there with the same stupid little faces. And strangely enough, too, within the next, I don't know if it was a year, there was some other documentary, clip of, like, this rescue. I don't know if it was Niagara Falls or something, but this guy was wanting to kill himself, and he was standing in the water at the top of Niagara Falls, or one of those, like some other falls. And then he didn't want, they were coming to rescue him, and it was a difficult rescue because they're trying to get a rope on him. And then they kind of went under this snowbank that was, where the water had eaten away the snow under this ledge of snow. And I swear, in the snowbank near this, I saw one of those same stupid faces. It was like the same thing. So that was bizarre, because what are the chances I would see that again, Anyway, that's what I went through, and it was exasperating for me. And it was just, I'm not even the one dealing with these things. So and that's something. The other upside is, if any of you need to have something checked out, I mean, through Facebook, the spirit medium, I can tell you who it is, and you can contact him. And then the shaman, can do work remotely too. So there's that. So any comments?
Well, I mean, I've heard that before about the demons like if you're trying to, them going after choosing to go after you if you're the person that. Well, the way that it came to me was I had somebody I was close to who was really in tune with that sort of thing. I wouldn't say that they were a medium, but they uh, they were in that the light working, ascension field thing, and they were telling me about how whenever they got close to somebody, it's like really close to someone, that the demon or something, or whenever something was going right in their life, like they were finally having a major breakthrough where there was going to finally be success in their life or something great happening, somehow, some way, the demon would show up and it would cause some type of badness to happen to the person
Yeah.
that was associated with their success, be it a boyfriend or a new boss or whatever. That opportunity would be squandered or somehow lost because it would go after the person that was the cause of that was contributing to the cause of their success. And they said that they had so many examples they were sharing with me over the course of their life where this had occurred. And so I'm familiar with that concept based off of that based off of that information.
Yeah. Well, one other thing now I remember was she said that if you're,
And then
if your energy is
uh,
low, or you're already not
as
happy,
far
or you're suffering.
as like
Wait a minute.
um,
I think we're losing Saji there.
You're delaying.
the
You're echoing again, brother.
the the, the last thing you said, as far
Uh-oh.
as like the
Until he hears us,
um,
he's like lagging bad. So
I
he,
have it
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you
Can
fine.
you okay, I want to say this. That I remember
guys
that,
threw up.
that if your energy is low, if you're already upset or depressed, sad, suffering, putting up with situations, that cause you pain, all that negative stuff, that's when they also show up. Or that, they're trying to find you when you're weak, or they feed off those lower energies. And then another time, my brother stayed a couple nights, and the house where we grew up, no one else was living there. So he was sleeping on this fold out couch in the living room. And then he saw in this hallway, he saw this dark swirling mass of negative energy or something or somebody. So he said, he told me, he said to it, "Get the hell out of this house." And it did, it left. But he felt that it had either shown up because our mother had been depressed and sad, or partly she was depressed and sad because of this energy, and that was bizarre, But he also had seen angels, balls of light, and angels when he was a kid. He told me about that, and he had it was in a car crash with his girlfriend. She had a brand new car. They were coming around a curve, going, I don't know, a highway or probably going 45, 50 miles an hour. There was a car stop. They thought it was on the side of the road, but it was in their lane. They ended up clipping it. And he said their heads hit the windshield, but he saw these two big white hands come in from like the upper right in front of their heads, between their head and the windshield. And he had the sense that it was like our great grandfather, who was a Lutheran minister, or somebody like that, some relative. And these two big white hands came. So they bumped it. They hit the windshield. The car was totaled, but they didn't really have a scratch, or maybe a little scratch or something. And, so he's seen some things other people don't usually see. But that's one reason too, I think, besides the issues of don't drink so much that you're not in control, don't do these drugs, that, anything that takes you from your control, your higher self aware, higher power, higher self awareness, higher energy, positive attitude, all that stuff. It's a good reason not to go into it. And but I don't know if going to look at horror movies and glamorizing demons and all that, or concerning yourself with that, I don't know if that's opening the door to that type of thing. But after I've been through that, I'm like, it's not entertainment. It's I don't know if Armor, you've had any experiences like that. I remember you're talking about things you did, and then you had your experience and all that. But that, it's something I had to go through too. Oh, also my friend, the spirit medium said, yeah, a ghost can make a room cold for a few seconds, but a demon can make it cold for a long time. And I really felt that's what was going on. I didn't feel it was faulty equipment, because there were other apartments that didn't seem to have any issue, just mine, So that was that was frustrating, because they also didn't, they didn't respond, and they're just stupid people. That manager's not there anymore. I outlasted him. I was the first tenant he checked in, had moved into the place after he'd been working there 2 weeks when I moved in, and I outlasted him because he got kicked out of that building as manager before I ever, moved out. So anyway, what do you think? Any questions or anything similar?
Well, I just want to add, I guess, basically anytime, in my opinion, now this is just all my opinion, what I believe, going to a spirit guide for help isn't the way to go, because immediately you're putting trust in another human being. And the best way to deal with demons and things like that is to realize who you are and deal with them yourself. I mean, demons are nothing. You just, when you get the right spirit guide, there's only one spirit guide, in my opinion, and that's the Holy Spirit. And when you got the right spirit guide, demons don't want anything to do with you. But as long as you got the wrong spirit guide, they'll play games amongst each other forever. They'll pretend to leave. They'll come back. So, in my opinion, the only way to beat a demon is to get the right spirit guide, which is the Holy Spirit, which you have. You don't have to worry about someone else doing for you. It's take your authority and kick them out yourself. They can't mess with you.
Well, in this case, I didn't know what the faces of the photo were until I consulted with the spirit guide. And like the shaman said, if this man who, was in the photo, if he told them to leave, they'd have to leave. And I tried to get him that communication. I don't know if he got it. I don't know if he did it, because I agree that if he told them you got to go, then they'd go. And
the only one can tell them to go and they have to go is the Holy Spirit, Jesus. That's the only spirit that can command all other spirits. The rest can pretend to command each other, but they're all just working together, the people that's believing in it. The only one that can command them to go is Jesus Christ and us with the Holy Spirit. Period. That's just what I believe.
I understand.
And I wanted to comment. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep, you're back.
All right. As far as the horror movies are concerned, and the negative energy, I remember when I was younger, and I don't know, like in my 20s or whatever, I occasionally would enjoy watching a scary movie, like a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever, just because of the startle factor, that nervous energy that it gives you when you're watching the movie, the oh no, get out of the house, run, get out of there, that feeling that it gives you. But as I've gotten older and I've really worked hard on building my frequency up and building my energy to a certain point where I realize how delicate that process is and how easily corruptible it is, I don't tune into stuff like that anymore. If I'm scrolling through Netflix or whatever, and every third or fourth movie is something horror or gruesome related, or somebody dying, or something along those lines, some type of evil spirit versus the person or whatever. And I don't know why it seems to be so popular in Hollywood nowadays, but I want nothing to do with that. I don't want any of that coming in my bedroom, in my living room, in my house at all. So I'm right there with you on that. I have no interest in bringing that into my life at all anymore. And I don't know how many other people feel that way or don't or whatever, but I can tell you I'm right there with you.
Yeah, thanks. I don't have a moral judgment about it. And this was some years ago, so it's something I went through just lately. But I certainly remember at the time feeling like this is not, this watching movies about demons and evil and devils and all. It's not entertainment to me. It's like it's pain and suffering, and I have enough of that already. I don't need more, and I didn't need that experience. But I'm glad I noticed. I don't think in this man's life, I don't think anyone else noticed those faces in the photo and did anything about it. So I'm glad I did, because I cared. I didn't want this person to go through that. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you made your best effort. That's all you could do.
And it's highly possible that you are sensitive to having that discernment to see things like that. So, not discounting that in the least.
yeah, it's obvious in the photo. It's just that there was enough, contrast in you could discern two faces and all that. Anyway, so anyway, and I don't have a moral judgment against anyone who goes and looks at that, but I just, from what I've been through,
Right.
I've had enough suffering in life. I don't need any more.
Here's the thing about me. I'm going to jump in here just 1 second. I used to watch a lot of those ghost shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and this and that. And as I get to watching it more and more, you could tell a lot of times those things are staged. Like those shows are so full of crap. Especially when they have they hear a noise. Oh, what's that? Or they're just doing it for the fear factor. That's all they're doing it for, is the jump factor, and when they play the EVPs and stuff, and they're like, hey, listen, this is what it's saying, and they make it sound like it's saying, like they put the words on there when all you can hear is like static or whatever. That's all I ever hear when they play those things back. All I can hear is the static,
Yeah.
I don't hear the words that they're supposedly saying that they put across the screen. I'm just like, whatever. You guys are so full of crap.
Where did you hear that? Yeah. Well, I also do have a couple of ghost experiences that are quick. One was at a restaurant I worked at, and a man had died while they were building the restaurant. So they said that they sent him around, and I said, what happened? And one teenager said, well, sometimes like the hanging plants will just start turning on their own. So I was back washing dishes, and it's had a sense of movement past me, like someone's walking past. So I talked to the guy. I said, oh, is that you? I said, it's nice that you come and check on the place, but as you can see, it got built. And you don't have to keep hanging around here. You can look up and move on to your next life. So, I don't know if he ever did. But then I did have an experience after my dad passed away, that it was Christmas time, and so there was this cornhusk angel doll that would be put on top of this living Christmas tree that was sitting on a table, and over the years it had grown. It's probably 3.5 feet tall or something. So it was up there. So one night, and this was right after he passed away, it fell off the tree. Okay, so I put it back up there. Then another night, I'm sitting there watching TV, and then, pow! It gets knocked off the tree onto the floor. And I said, "Okay, hi, Dad. I know it's you. Sorry, I can't hear you, but yeah, I know you're saying hi, And then the following year, I was back at the house, and I with some other relatives, and I was at this kitchen sink, and then I saw some movement. Of course, when I turn and look, you don't see anything. But I knew it was him, and it's like, oh yeah, hi, Dad. So it was no big deal because it's my dad, So that's Those are my. I've had a couple other brief experiences of seeing some things, but and there's nothing that makes me want to go search out more. In fact, and where I work, there's even like someone who'd worked there where I work now. She'd passed away, and really cared about the store I work in. So apparently, she's kind of hanging out up in the upper attic storage room, or things like fall off the shelf when some people are up there, or no one else is up there, and something comes bouncing down the conveyor belt down to the first floor, and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't get a negative, worried sense, a weird sense. But then I also don't have to work in that area myself, so that's good. Well, anyway, that's what I've got for tonight.
Well, thank you for calling and sharing. That was all interesting subjects matter. Definitely a lot you had a lot to offer there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm happy I took the action I did. I don't think anyone else would ever have noticed that and done anything about it in those, in those photos. I really do, because I don't think, I don't know, maybe someone did, but.
Well, I think the overall message was, kind of like the story I told about the butterfly right before you called him. The shaman said he has to do it for himself. I mean, as much as you wanted to intervene and try to make it better for him, ultimately, the person has to acknowledge it for themselves, and like Armor said, the only spirit guide that can really help him is the Holy Spirit, and he has to acknowledge it and tackle that demon on his own. That's the only way any one of us can tackle any demon that comes into our realm, is finding it through our own way, our own, finding our own light, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, well, guys, I'll let you go and find out what else people might want to talk about.
Well, thanks for
All right.
calling in, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you,
Yeah,
Lorraine.
happy birthday.
Birthday, and I hope to see you on some more Wednesday Words.
Okay, good. Thanks so much. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, is there anyone else on the line?
Yeah, I think I heard
No,
something.
not at the moment.
Huh?
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay. No, what I was saying a while ago is like, how you watch those ghost shows and stuff like that. Most of that stuff is either fabricated or, it's scripted, a lot of it. I've not seen not one ghost show that's convinced me that they're for real. Not saying that any of that stuff doesn't actually happen.
I assume you're watching these on like major television networks, right?
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, of course, those are going to be. I mean, they have to pay for all that equipment somehow, and they have to get those commercials. I mean, if they show up at these houses and there is nothing strange happens, then the show don't last very long. The ratings stink, and everybody goes home, and nobody has a job. I mean, it goes without saying that they gotta make stuff happen in order to keep it interesting.
Well, that's what I was talking about a while ago. I'm like, notice how they're always like, oh, what was that? Ooh, I just saw an orb, and it's usually a piece of dust or, a bug or something.
Well, I know that ancient alien theorists agree that ghost hunter stories are a facade.
Okay.
Have you ever watched that show? The ancient alien theories. The guys like ancient alien theorists agree.
Yeah.
Never mind. I was trying to be funny.
Oh, I got it. You were hilarious.
All right. Like, who is an ancient alien theorist anyway?
But
And why does the alien have to be ancient? Why can't he just be like kind of old?
I don't know. Yoda's an ancient alien.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only one I know of.
I would be interested in that, Connie. Call in.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be a good subject. Ain't like we got nothing else going on.
Well, while she's calling in, do you guys want to hear my short little ghost story? I experienced a ghost once.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I don't. It seems like I've told you guys this story before, but maybe I haven't because I have told it a couple times. For a
We
while, I
won't
worked
stop
on.
you. We won't stop you if we've heard it before. Okay.
All right. For a while, I worked for the railroad, and one day I got an easy job. I was a flagman, and basically what that meant was we were doing some construction um, on the tracks, like relaying the railroad ties, or putting laying some new track or whatever in this little section of the railroad. And all I had to do was sit there in my car and and uh, and watch the construction crew. And whenever a train wanted to come through, I had to make sure that the construction crew was in the clear, and then send the train through real slowly. So the trains had to call me on my little walkie-talkie and tell me, get permission to pass, and then I would make sure the construction crew was in the clear, and then let the train pass. Right. So, but the assignment happened to be at this bar. It's kind of famous for a paranormal activity. It's called Bobby Mackey's. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Oh, yeah, it's one of the most famous ones.
Yeah. Well, I'm literally right behind Bobby Mackey's, and I decided not to sit in my car because it's kind of warm and it's even hotter in the car. So I go over and I'm hanging out with the guys and talking to them. And apparently, whatever it is they're doing, they're going down in a hole under the ground. I guess there's some electrical stuff down there, and the foreman on the job is standing over the hole. That's what he always does with his hands on his hips, making everybody else work. So I'm standing there talking to him, and he's telling me that down there under the thing where these electrical things are, that there's a tunnel, and it goes from Bobby Mackey's out to the river, which was just another 50, 60, I don't know, 50, 60 yards away from where we were standing. And he's like, back in the day when prohibition was in effect, Bobby Mackey's was still an open bar, and when the police or the federales or whatever would show up to confiscate the rest and confiscate the booze or whatever, they would all sneak down through this tunnel and go out to like a boat that he had out on the river, and they would go out on the boat and go about a mile or so downstream, and continue their party, but unbeknownst to the lawmen or whatever. And he was telling me the story, and he's like, the bar's haunted and all that stuff. And I had heard something about it, but I really didn't know a whole heck of a lot. And then all of a sudden, the guy came shooting up the ladder out of the hole, and he's like, don't be talking about the spirits down here while I'm down here working. He told him to shut up about talking about the ghost stories while he's down there working. And he was like, his face was like dead serious. He was not kidding. Like, he didn't think it was funny at all that his foreman was up there telling me starting to tell me the ghost stories about Bobby Mackey's while he's down there trying to work in the dark tunnel. So I didn't really. I mean, I kind of got a little bit EBGB about the whole thing, but it really wasn't. It didn't shake me up too much. Like, it was notable. It was noteworthy, but I really wasn't taken aback by it. Well, the next day I caught the job again, and I went back. The job was on the extra board, so I went ahead and I took the job. I thought it was an easy gig. I knew I'd be home in time for dinner, so I went and took that job. And I show up on the job, and the foreman isn't there. And I skipped a day. That's right. I didn't go the next day. I didn't catch it. Somebody before me got it. But then the following day, it was still on there. And so I took it. I grabbed it early and I got it. And I show up on the job and the foreman isn't there. And I'm asking him, like, well, where's, I forget his name now. Let's just say Joe. Where's Joe? The one that was telling me the story. Where'd he go? And they all looked at each other and they looked at me and the guy pulled me over to the side. And he's like, that day, remember that day you were here the other day? He's like, when he left here that day, he he got on the expressway and he went on the he went he tried to enter the expressway on the exit ramp and he had a head-on collision with another driver. And I was like, no way. I was like, that's terrible. And I got to thinking about it. Like while I was sitting there, I was like, he was sitting there talking about the ghosts and the spirits and stuff. And the other guy came up and told him to quit talking about it. I wonder if he made him mad. Like he made this because he was kind of playing it down, kind of making fun of him, doing a tongue in cheek, kind of disgracing him. I wonder if he offended him somehow, and they had him like they followed him in his car and did that to him. Like my whole like ever since then, I've always wondered that. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. It could just have been a freak thing. But I tell you what, I didn't take that job ever again. I never went back to Bobby Mackey's. I haven't even really. I've told the story a few times, but I really don't even like talking about it. Simple for the fact I don't like making reference to it. Kind of like she was talking about the scary movies, but that's one of my one encounter with like a paranormal or ghost stories. I don't know. Any thoughts or anything you guys want to say about that?
Yeah, that's pretty wild, though. Absolutely strange. We do have our caller on the line, though, when you guys are ready.
All right.
Ready and willing.
All right. 940, you are live.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is Connie Joe, of course. Now, it's been long enough that I think I'll be okay. I'm going to have to be careful what I say. This information I'm about to give y'all is very true. There were 20 people that worked in the same store with me, so they were all there. It happened. My daughter lived with me. There's plenty of evidence. I even have somewhere the card that has the FBI agent's name on it. I worked in 2001, I lived in North Richland Hills, Texas, which is a suburb of Fort Worth, and I worked in Irving, which was only about 20 miles away, at a major cell phone company, a flagship store. One side was where they sold the phones. The other side is where they upgraded software, repaired phones, took payments, and all of that. And I worked on that side as a customer service rep. Now, we worked at 10 minutes from the airport, and so we got all kinds of people come and go out of there. And, of course, it's a Dallas-Fort Worth area, so you're busy all the time. And about 2 weeks before 9/11, Muhammad Atta came in, but nobody knew who he was at that point in time, or at least we didn't. He came into our store with another guy who was also the same nationality. And they were talking to each other in their language, and he came up and he said that he had on a pilot's uniform. And he came up to my booth and he said he wanted his software upgraded. Well, I looked and I brought up his account, and he hadn't paid his bill, so his cell phone had been shut off. I said, now, we can upgrade your phone, but I can't turn it on for you because you have to make a payment. And he said he will do that. He got mad. And I distinctly remember this guy because he was not a friendly guy, not to me anyway. He wasn't cussing at me, but he was kind of curt, if you know what that means. And he said he was mad because they misspelled his name on his account. So I changed that. I said, well, I have to see your driver's license. So he gave me his driver's license, and it was a Boston driver's license. And so I changed his driver's license. His account was is the right spelling. And I said, you have to leave your phone here if you want a software upgrade, because at that time, they weren't the greatest phones back then. And I said, come back in a couple of hours. And he said, okay. And when he came back, we were waiting on him to bring his phone up. And of course, they taught us to make small talk with the customer so they didn't get frustrated. And I said, well, I noticed that you have a pilot's uniform on. Are you a local pilot? And he says, yeah. I said, are you about to fly? And he says, yes. I said, where are you going? He said, Boston. And I said, oh, okay. So they brought his phone out, and he went on his way. Well, after 2 weeks later, after 9/11, and they showed his picture up on the TV screen, I told my daughter, who was living with me at the time, she was an EMT, and in the Northwestern Hills area. I said, oh, my God, I waited on that guy 2 weeks ago. I distinctly remember him because I had to change his name in the computer. And so I told my boss, I went to work that day, and I told him, I said, I think I waited on him. You might see. And sure enough, I had. I had waited on him. And I said, but he didn't tell me anything, really, except that he was a pilot and he was going to be going to Boston that day. And I said, he wasn't very nice. It was kind of, well, Kurt means, as a matter of fact, without any personality, just kind of straightforward. And so they started, he got a hold of his boss at the main company. And the next thing you know, up to my house came these 2 FBI agents. Of course, all my neighbors were like running there going, what the heck? Because here they were. They were suit holding, badge carrying, gun toting FBI agents. There was 2 of them. And my boss had called me to warn me right before they come. He said, you don't mind talking to him, do you? I said, no, I don't mind talking to him, but I can't tell him anything because I don't really know anything. So they came and they talked to me for the longest time. My daughter was there. And she thought the one that was like 40 years old, even though she was only about 18, was so good looking that she never will forget him. And they kept asking me what he looked like and what was he wearing and no. So I told them everything. I said, that's all I can tell you, because I just remembered that he did come into the store. And they said, yeah, we got he had several accounts with several different cell phone companies. And they said, we were able to get some telephone numbers in the Las Vegas area, or San Francisco, or somewhere in California, and Boston, and somewhere in Florida. I said, well, that's good. Well, the next thing I know, a couple of days later, they come down to the store where I work, and they went back there and they took all of the cameras, the video cameras. Well, unbeknownst to any of us, to save money, the manager was every couple of weeks was switching and playing over the video tape. In other words, he was reusing that same cartridge or film over and over again, and they had taped over it. So but they said we still got to go down and go over it anyway. So they took me out to lunch. And then they took me downtown Dallas, and they said there's all over the place down there. They TV cameras and everything, because it was only like a week after all of this happened. And they huddled me in. They said, don't talk to reporters. Don't talk to reporters. You'll put yourself in danger. So I said, okay, well, I don't want to be in danger. And let me tell you, they had that place locked down. I had never been in the place before, or an FBI building of any kind. And even when I went to the bathroom, I had to have a female FBI officer go into the bathroom with me and stand outside my stall. Even though they didn't suspect me of anything, that's just how locked down they were. And we went through hours and hours of video. Well, sure enough, they had recorded over that day. So they didn't have the footage on there, but they said, well, we do have where you talked to him. We had where, because, when you being a customer service rep, you get logged in on your name in their account, and you have to make notes in the account. So they did have all that information, and they said, you cannot tell anybody. And at this time, I wasn't allowed to tell anybody because your life could be in danger because that other guy was with him may not have been on the plane. And I thought to myself, oh my God, he knows where I work, you know. So I had to stay quiet about it for the longest period of time. Well, about 10 years ago, I was telling somebody about it. Of course, nobody believes it. I said, well, you know, you don't have to believe it because the people I worked with there, and there was about 20 of them, they know because they were there when the FBI people came in. And, but now that there's all this conspiracy about this, it made me even more nervous because I thought, well, they're covering their dang tracks. It's what they were doing. But I don't even know because all I really know, I couldn't even tell you what the guy that was with him looked like because I didn't actually talk to him. You know, and the only reason I remembered Muhammad Atta was because I had to put his information in the computer and I actually had a conversation with him. But the other guy was a shorter guy. That's all I remember. He was shorter, a whole lot shorter, about a foot shorter than Muhammad Atta. And anyway, but he came in, but for the longest time. And then I told my daughter, I said, you know, I ought to write a book about my week with the FBI, but I said, I really can't say anything, but it would be, you know, it would be of interest to anybody. But it was kind of exciting for me in a way, but it was scary more than anything because I thought, oh my God, you know, that guy that was with him, what if he's afraid I'm going to say something and he's going to come up and catch me out going home after work at late at night and, you know, something bad happened to me. But I had a dream. I tell people this, and it's the truth. I have psychic dreams quite often. And I figure it's a gift from God because it runs in my mother's side of the family. And I had a dream that I was going to meet a very bad man with the initials MA and to be wary. Well, okay, but I didn't think anything about it when it happened. So, but, you know, I don't know, you know, it's so scary now to think of, I could have been in real, especially if there's conspiracy going on there, I could have been in real serious danger had I really known something, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's fascinating and definitely you could have been in danger, especially with, like you said, all the different theories out there. And for the people that don't know, the person you're talking about, he was one of the pilots supposedly, allegedly, during 9/11. Is that correct?
Yeah. But was he really?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's so much controversy over it now. Or maybe he was on a plane and he was used as a scapegoat, or maybe he really was involved in it. You know, because even if it was a conspiracy, because you know, they say that these people that mind control other people and get them stirred up and get them to, you know, do stuff that they would normally do, or maybe they think they're doing it because of their religion or their whatever. But I tell you what, for about a year after that happened, because neither my daughter nor I could talk to anybody about it. You know, the people at work knew about it because they were there. And we all had to say, well, we won't say anything because they worried about, they used the excuse that somebody might come into our store and get rid of any evidence or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it really could go both ways. I mean, on one hand, yeah, that you don't want to talk to reporters for your own safety, they said, but also, I mean, if you want to flip the coin on the other side, and you know, and you're into the whole inside job theory, you know, they don't want you talking to reporters because they don't want they don't want anybody hearing anything besides the story that they're telling. That, you know, you might have a different, you know, if anybody could offer a different version of the story, they don't want them talking about it. You know, whether your version would be different or not is beside the case. And then also, wanted to mention, I saw a headline recently that they're actually finally going on trial, the guys that were in the 9/11 plot, that those particular individuals, they're
Oh,
They're
really?
they're coming up on trial this in the next week or so. Yeah, they're going to actually
Huh.
finally sit in front of a judge or something
I
like
thought they
that.
already had like a trial type deal.
Uh, I mean, you can look it up. I saw a headline where they're finally coming up on going in front of a judge for for
Hmm.
whatever reason. I mean, what is it? 20 years later, they're finally getting around to it.
Okay. I thought they had like a 9/11 tribunal, what do they call it, investigation.
Yeah,
That,
I mean, they did have an investigation, and but well, for whatever reason, there's some type of court case where they're sitting in front of a judge coming up in the next week or so.
oh, okay. So it's official trial then.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Well, it was very scary, and personally, I'm glad I didn't know more. I mean, this is to be honest with you, I'm glad that all I could tell them was, yeah, I did wait on him, and yeah, they pulled up the records where I waited on, and they said they were able to get some information about phone numbers that he had called.
And when he was in front of you, did he give you any any weird vibes? Did he act any kind of way? Did he make you?
Really
And
did. I thought he was very rude. I mean, it was almost like he didn't want to talk to me because I was a woman. That's the kind of vibe I got from it. You know, I don't know why, but he, I don't know. He just was not a pleasant. He was not pleasant. He didn't cuss me out, but he wasn't. He didn't smile. He wasn't pleasant. And when I would ask him a question, you know, trying to make conversation to wait for his phone to come out, it was like, yeah, no, Boston, you know, just very curt and short.
okay,
You know, very no personality, so to speak. And of course, the other guy spoke in his language, and I didn't know what he said. They said to each other, and I wouldn't know what the guy looked like now because I don't remember his face. That's been what 18 years ago, and I didn't actually talk to him face to face. So you know how people blend into the crowd if you don't really have that much to do with them and you see them only one time. So I don't know anything about him. And of course, supposedly Muhammad Atta died in the crash. I don't know, but he wasn't an ugly man. He was just not a very pleasant man. Just not personable. Because you know, a lot of customers when they came in would, oh, how you doing today? And the weather is this, and what, you know, just making small talk. And you make small talk back to them because if they're just standing there with no interaction, then it seems like longer for them to wait than normal. So they tell you, you know, kind of make small talk. Don't get too personal with them, but kind of make small talk so that, you know, it takes up some time and they don't feel like they're waiting as long. So this phone wasn't quite ready yet. And back then was, you know, you just had the old flip phones back then, and you didn't have all this fancy stuff like cameras and all that kind of stuff on the phones like you do now. So, but yeah, that's really all I've got on that. I just thought it was very interesting to me that happened. And and I'm glad, really and truly, that I don't know more than that because you guys, I was scared to death for such a long time going and coming from work. I really was. And they made me even more scared by telling me, don't talk to reporters, you know, because they were headed over my way when they saw me. And they just kind of scurried me right on in the door real quick. And so, all right, well, thank you for letting me share that, and I'll get off here, and y'all can cuss and discuss or whatever. God bless you guys.
Thanks, Connie. Yeah, one thing I find interesting, this could just be my wild conspiracy mind thinking, but this was right before 9/11, I believe you said. So
When he came in right before 9/11, but after 9/11 is when I told my boss.
right, but I mean when he gave his phone up was right before 9/11, basically.
Right.
Now, if they were trained enough to pull this whole thing off, don't you think they would have been trained to the fact that that phone should never go into possession of someone like you guys, because now their whole phone record is on file. Everyone they called, it makes no sense. If they were planning, if they were really what they're supposed to be.
You know, I mean, he had to pass through a bill, so they shut off his service. You know, so that doesn't make sense either, really. I don't know. You know, they could have been scapegoats. I don't know what. I just don't know. But it was just bizarre. And then I had the dream about that, one of those psychic dreams, and I don't know. I just had the weebie-jeebies for a long time after that happened. And but then when I tell some, you know, here, like I said, about 10 years ago, I told some people about it. And they thought, "Yeah, you're making that up." I said, "Okay, I don't care if you believe me or not. I was there. My daughter was there. The people I worked with were there. You know, we all know that it really happened. You know, I mean, it's not like I really knew something. It was just that I person, and I waited on him right before. But how was I to know who he was? We get people from all over the world that came in there through the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. You know, all nationalities from everywhere. You know, I knew he was from the Middle East, but we get gobs of it. We got gobs of people from there, from the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So that didn't throw up any red flags to me, because I didn't know anything about 9/11 going to happen. And they sure didn't tell us, you know, that was going to happen. So, okay, guys, I'm going to get off here, and y'all have a great evening.
Thanks so much for calling, Connie. Always a pleasure.
All right, am I on mute? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so I looked up the Washington or the New York Times post or the New York Times article on this this trial I was telling you guys about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trial for the men accused of plotting the 9/11 attacks is finally set for 2021, and
Wow.
it says moving toward a final reckoning as the nation approaches the 20th anniversary of the day that led to the longest war in American history. A military judge on Friday set a date for the death penalty trial at Guantanamo Bay of the 5 men accused of plotting the September 11 attacks. The judge, Colonel W. Shane Cohen of the Air Force, set the January 11th, 2021 for the start of the selection of the military jury at Camp Justice. The case is basically against Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 other men should have proceeded. It's a definitive trial set to the September 11th attacks. Until now, only foot soldiers of Al-Qaeda have been tried at the Guantanamo Bay or Guantanamo, and many of their convictions have been overturned. Mr. Muhammad and 4 others faced the death penalty in a conspiracy case. They use the word conspiracy that describes Mr. Muhammad as architect of the of the plot in which 19 men hijacked. We know all about all that. But the charge sheets list the names of all the 2,976 people who died in the attacks. But here's where it kind of gets interesting. Let me scroll down a little bit. It's still unclear if the trial will actually occur. A judge is yet to rule on whether the crucial FBI agents' descriptions of the defendants' confessions are admissible because the defendants were tortured in CIA prisons. Defense lawyers have said that they will go to federal court closer to the trial start date to try to stop the proceedings. Another outstanding issue is the need for magnetic resonance imaging scans of the 5 defendants to see if they suffered brain or other physical damage from torture. Defense lawyers might use the MRIs to argue against the men's executions if they are convicted. Guantanamo itself is not yet ready for a trial that is expected to last as long as 9 months. A judge has ordered prosecutors to give him written updates throughout this thing. Let me go on down here. The war crimes trial, let me see. But because it's a national security case with the potential to inadvertently make public classified information on a 40-second delay. Some of 10,000s of people who are victims or relatives of the September 11 victims will also be able to watch the proceedings through video broadcasts to military bases in New York, Massachusetts, and Maryland. I mean, this is really kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like it's just a whole bunch of more of show and pony to me. I mean, that's really that's what I decipher through all of that. Any thoughts or comments?
Well,
Yeah, I agree. Just more dog and pony show.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
it's definitely interesting, and it seems like they're trying to give a diversion from the truth.
Well, I don't know that we'll ever really know the truth, at least not in our lifetime.
Most likely, not. Um, but you know,
What we do know is that we don't know the truth, and that's really all we really have to know, I guess, you know.
Lorraine's asking how could they still be alive if they flew the planes? I don't think these are the ones that flew the planes. These are the ones that
Orchestrated the
people
the
that
mastermind behind it, yeah. Or supposedly are the masterminds behind it.
now let me ask you this: there was 3 planes that we know of, and there was supposedly a 4th one, but they stopped the 4th one from even taking off or something like that. Um, Now, where do they think the 4th one would have been heading towards the White House?
No, I think that's the one that went down in Pennsylvania is the one they said was going to go to the White House, if I remember right.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
That is true. Shanksville.
Okay. That's what I always wonder. I knew there was the 3 that crashed, but there was the 4th one, and I guess the 4th one's the one that didn't actually hit. I mean, it crashed, but it didn't actually hit anything.
Right. Well, I mean, they're saying, I mean, there's so many different theories. I mean, I don't know which one I 100% subscribe to, but one theory is that
the 4th one.
yeah. One theory is that they actually landed the planes, got the people off, and then and then they either used the same plane or a military plane with a paint job to look like a commercial airliner to actually hit the targets. I mean, but there's so many different theories. I mean, it's all really speculative as far as I know.
We could go down that rabbit hole. It would take us all night, but I'm afraid Google would just shut us down. What was interesting, Armor, was that was it Zeb that was talking about it earlier? Somebody was talking about they had a weird experience with Google. Who was that? Was that Eddie Van King?
Well, Preliminal was saying about there's some sort of weird we know or something at the top of his browser that won't go away. So hopefully he's screenshotting it.
Yeah. I thought that was weird. When I heard it mentioned, of course I couldn't talk about it at the time, but I just have the feeling Google monitors everything that we do and say, even when our computers are off. But that's just my paranoid brain talking, I guess. I don't know.
Well, if you're dumb enough to leave your camera and mic on, yeah, you're definitely being monitored on or off. But that's why I have a mic turns off and a camera with a bucket.
Yeah, there was recently an article that came out where some Google employees were under some type of scrutiny for watching people while they were doing hanky panky through their devices.
Yeah, and Connie says no plane wreckage at the Pentagon either, right? And that's basically right. They did bring out, I guess, a little bit of stuff. And
Yeah, they eventually found a black box like a month later, but it was for a different aircraft than the one that supposedly hit it.
yeah, and I was in DC when that happened, when the Pentagon got hit. In fact, I just drove by the Pentagon like an hour before that, basically, or half hour.
Wow.
And also, my MOS in the military was 16 Echo 10, which is Hawk Fire Control, which is air defense missiles. So I know what missiles smell like because they have cordite. So from my personal experience, being in DC when the Pentagon was hit and watching the smoke roll, I definitely smelled cordite. Airplanes crashing don't produce the smell of cordite. That's all I can say about that. But I know what I smelled, and there's no doubt a missile hit something in DC at that time. No doubt in my mind.
Right. Yeah, and the hole that was left was not big enough for a 747 or whatever it was. It was like a 9-foot gap, and a plane going through that hole would have left large and wings that weren't on the ground in front of it or laying on the side of the building when it hit. Yeah, somehow all fit through a little 9-foot hole. That was the part that really kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. But a 9-foot hole could be made by an explosion.
And the fact that tin can penetrate concrete alone is a ludicrous idea.
Yeah. But when you see it on TV and you're a sheeple, of course it's real. It's the news, man. Come on, they wouldn't lie to me. They're telling me the truth. This is what happened.
Right.
Yeah, and Zeb has an interesting point about only one camera working around the Pentagon. Well, that ain't like I said, I drive down there. I drive by the Pentagon every trip to DC. I tell you, there's the Pentagon. There's where the plane hit, supposedly. I drive right by it all the time. There isn't just cameras at the Pentagon. There's hotels all over that place with cameras.
There is, and there was a gas station that had footage.
There is so many cameras that would have caught it. It's unbelievable. There's traffic.
But you know what? There was cameras that caught it, and there was a gas station that had footage of the plane crossing. It's and the FBI quickly showed up and confiscated all of those tapes before anybody got a chance to look at them.
Yep, absolutely. But like I said, just from my experience, I know what a missile smells like, and I know what I smelled that day. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's one of those things where you can just smell the fishiness of it, but it's impossible. It's such an extravagant conspiracy that it was so well executed, and so many people were blind to it at the time. For us to only start, kind of piecing it together after the fact, I don't know that we ever will really put it all together.
No, we'll never know what happened. Like you said, at least not in our lifetimes. Maybe they will someday if the world lasts long enough, which I don't think is going to happen. Just like we now know about all the fake stuff in Vietnam and World War II and everything else, the Oklahoma bomb, all that crap. Truth comes out eventually, but no one's ever going to get prosecuted. It's all going to get swept away. There was a lot of things that happened that day that, yeah, there's lots of reasons it probably happened. Gold, missing money. There's lots of reasons.
Sure.
But remember just the day before, Rumsfeld was in front of the Senate committee talking about how the Pentagon had lost, so many billion or $1 trillion that was unaccounted for. And the very next day, that particular part of the Pentagon that kept those records and files is the part that somehow managed to blow up. Go figure.
Yeah. What a coincidence. Also, the only part that was abandoned because of renovation. Huh.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing about 9/11 that gets to me is wasn't didn't George W. Bush just get elected, or he's up for re-election, or something like that? To that extent, he just got elected. Was in there for like a year. Wasn't he in there for like a year or two?
He was getting ready to start his second term, and it helped. It helped secure his reelection. If that's what you're trying to get at.
That's where I'm trying to. That's exactly where I'm trying to get at. And then like same thing with Obama, when Obama was getting ready to go down in flames. It just seemed so convenient. We so conveniently captured Osama bin Laden, although we never saw, like you said earlier on, we never saw a picture of his face, or never saw an autopsy or nothing like that confirming that he was actually dead. It just seems so, there's so much to that.
There's so much media, like so many things that happen now when it happens on the news, and I see it happening that I don't even I'm like I don't even believe it. Like I believe like it all just seems so artificial, so staged. Ever since I saw that video of the two guys from CNN pretending like they were in Iraq with the helmets on, and they're covering the war, and they're really on like a set from Gilligan's Island, pretending like they're in Iraq covering the war story. Ever since I saw that footage, that's how I see all news now. It's all just a set on Gilligan's Island.
Fake news.
Yep.
All fake news. Yeah. And we're never going to know the true answers to really anything. Forget about 9/11, but there's all kinds of things we're never going to know the true answers to. That goes all the way back. I mean, that could go all the way back to the Kennedy assassination. We're never going to know the true reason behind that, or what actually really happened, or it's all up for grabs as far as I'm concerned, is where reality sits.
I mean, even local news. Like say I read in the paper that a house up the street that there was a gas leak and the house blew up and 4 people in the house died. I mean, I don't even know for sure that there was a gas leak. That's how terrible it is. I'm not saying that just when I read it, I assume that it wasn't. I'm not going that far as to saying I'm sitting here with a tinfoil hat pretending like everything is a conspiracy theory, but I just don't know. That's the point. Like, I don't know if that's really what happened. Just because it's in the newspaper that there was a gas leak, all I really know is that somebody's house exploded, and I have no idea why, because the news isn't going to. I can't trust the news to really even give me any real information. I would literally have to go drive by the house just to make sure it blew up.
Right. Who knows? It could have been a gas leak. It could have been a meth house.
It could have been a hit on somebody. It could have. I mean, there's so many different things it could have been, but I don't know. All I know is that that if I want to find out if it really blew up, I have to drive by it for myself.
And I think that's one thing, that whatever caused 9/11, I mean, whatever happened, the powers that be that caused it, I think it bit them in the backside, because it woke people up to that exact fact that we now know we can't trust nothing they're telling us. We have to be skeptical about everything. So it backfired on them big time, in my opinion, at least for those of us. I mean, 9/11 is what woke me up, as far as the non-reality of this world. I was already on my spiritual journey back with the Father, but there's no doubt 9/11 was a wake-up call as to how we're totally being lied to about everything. You know what I mean? Like I said, especially being there and knowing what I smelled and knowing what they were saying happened, and just so I think it backfired on them more than it. I think it's a good side of it. It backfired and woke up a lot of people.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, I agree.
Real quick, guys. Real quick, you talked about World War II a while ago. I've always had this conspiracy about World War II a long time ago. Like the Japanese, when they attacked Pearl Harbor, my conspiracy goes like this: that they knew what they were doing. They were doing it to get the United States involved in the war. My question is, was the United States somehow involved, like the United States government somehow paid the Japanese to attack their own stuff just so they can get America involved in the war because they knew that there was money involved in it somehow?
I don't know about that. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but the way
Because
I
they
under,
knew, I don't mean to cut you off or anything, because they knew it was going to happen. They knew it was an impending attack, is what I'm saying.
oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I mean, they did kind of have a heads up that it could happen. You're right. I just recently heard somebody talking about the subject about World War II and how it kind of Japan kind of we I'm sure think like we were talking about Mr. Miyagi earlier. Japanese people
Right.
are all about honor and respect, like that their personal integrity. Like that's like a big deal to it in the Japanese culture. That's like if you shame them, they find great offense to being shamed in any way, shape, or form. And somehow there was back in the day, you know how Trump is doing all these tariffs now. We were having some type of something was going on between the Japanese and Britain where they were doing something with currency or interest rates or something economical that was a big deal to the Japanese eco system, like their economy. And the U.S. talked Britain into not doing business, changing the way they did business with Japan, and it was a big deal where it was going to economically crush their country, and it was going to disgrace them. It was going to make them look dishonorable, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back with with Japan. Like that was the thing that kind of like got them to the point where they were finally like, you know what, we're going to go over here to Hawaii. We're going to drop some bombs on these guys because they disgraced us. That's the way I understand it. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But that's the way it was recently explained to me.
If you look over there, Eddie Von King raises a good point, and that's something that I had thought about before, but never really hit me tonight. But I had thought about it before, that our economy, you know, we were in the middle of the Great Depression before the war. And then when we got into the war, it wasn't till after the war we got out of the Great Depression by winning the war. Seems like.
Well, wars are good for the economy because you have to build a lot. You got to hire a bunch of people to build it. I mean, you got to throw a lot of money into into industry. So wars are definitely good for the economy. They're not so good for your 19-year-old son who's got to go off to another country and may or may not come back. But they're great for the economy. They're great for capitalism.
Should I put that on? Is there something I need to share up there? Armor?
Yeah. Preliminal sent in the screenshot of his computer with the weird
Oh
tab.
yeah, I see it.
Okay.
He wants to call in, that'd be cool too. But yeah, that's what I got sharing at the moment. I guess you can see it. Hopefully you
Let me
can.
go ahead and there you go. I can't really see that. Can you guys see that? Yeah.
There you go. Now you're getting there. What does it say?
It's a little hard to see the pics. Yeah, it pixelates real bad. But that tab that's clicked on says "We know."
Whoa. That is really freaky.
Well,
That should be one for Freaky
So what do they
Friday.
know, Preliminal? What have you been up to, huh? Share. What did you do last summer?
Maybe they know what he did this summer.
Yeah.
It's a prequel. We know what you did
Pretty-
this summer.
It's pretty freaky, no doubt.
Yeah.
All
So do we got any more calls?
No, not yet.
We're getting there. I'll bet you within the next 10 minutes, if we can just talk for 10 more minutes, we'll get a call.
Are you like going to officially start a timer or something?
Oh yeah, I got an egg timer right here by my desk.
All right.
All right, so, but I like talking about the whole World War II thing because it kind of ties in what we were talking about 9/11, because the whole World War II thing, that would have been like the first time. Well, not the first time. I mean, if you don't count the Civil War or any of those, the first time we were hit on American soil would have been World War II, and then the next time would have been 9/11. Am I wrong? Because Hawaii,
Yeah, I mean,
Hawaii was a state, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. They were definitely considered United States territory, or U.S. territory, or American territory. I don't know. They're not connected because they're not, not on the mainland. But it's yeah. They were a state, I guess, or they were under our dominion.
Okay. Armor, any?
We had naval base there, and Air Force Base.
I'd like to get Armor Up's opinion about the World War II conspiracy because he's the one that brought it up originally.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he is being kind of quiet over there.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
Too quiet.
I think basically, as far as World War II goes and the bombing of Pearl Harbor and all the other things that got bombed now, it wasn't just Pearl Harbor. I mean, all kind of crazy stuff happened now, supposedly, in this reality. But
Right.
I don't think it's so much that the government paid Japan off for anything. I think they just, we know they knew the attack was coming and didn't say nothing. That's been unclassified. So there's no doubt they knew that they were going to be attacked. They just didn't bother to warn anyone. So I don't think they paid him off. I think they just told him, you have a clear path. You know what I mean? No resistance. Or they didn't tell him anything and just did the only thing they had to do and not warn anybody. So defenses were down. They make it in. Before they can scramble anything, they're already getting hit. But
I mean, once the hit happened, I mean, I'm basing this off of my knowledge is based off the movie Pearl Harbor.
I knew you were going to say that. I was thinking.
I remember we did put planes in the air eventually, even though it was a weak follow up. We did put some pilots up there and kind of got our asses handed to us.
I like how our knowledge is based off of movies.
I never seen that movie, just for the record.
Oh hell. That's how I learned about the Titanic, you know that? Titanic.
Hey, at least I'm honest and don't try to pretend
right,
that I know something I don't.
You're keeping it real, man. I appreciate that. Oh man, that's great. Oh well, if you got to learn it from somewhere, I mean, why not learn it from movies? Okay. All right. So, where were we again? I forgot. Oh man, that's great.
I always wondered why there wasn't a sequel to the Titanic.
Right? The Titanic rises. Well, what did Rose do afterwards? Uh, wasn't there a sequel? You know what's weird about that whole Titanic incident? I'm talking about the real thing and not
Uh-huh.
the movie now. There was a book. I think there was a book written by the same. It was probably by the same guy that wasn't it the same guy that helped design the Titanic? Like he wrote a book years before about a massive ship that crashed into an iceberg, and basically the same exact thing happened to that.
There was a novel that came out and it had a lot of similarities to the real Titanic. I'm trying to remember what the name was even real similar. The name of the ship was like
The
just
Titan.
kind of the Titan, yeah. And yeah, that is true. That there was a book that came out before it even happened that depicted the very events that supposedly occurred. Um, and then of course the conspiracy theory is that it ever really even hit an iceberg because apparently the place that they were at there were no icebergs.
Hmm.
Part of the ocean that they were in, yeah.
Eddie's saying that the Titanic didn't sink; it was its sister ship. So that's interesting because I think I heard something about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you never heard that theory? It was the Olympia. And also,
yeah.
it's quite interesting how everyone who died on the ship were people who were opposing the banking system that they were setting up at that time. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where I would like to take time to look into it before I try to speak on it. I haven't really looked it up lately. I've heard, I mean, I remember hearing the different theories, but they're not fresh in my head, you know?
You know what's weird? Speaking of huge disasters, um, is I had no idea that there were survivors to the what was the Zeppelin that what was the Hindenburg disaster. I never knew there was survivors to that crash.
That's a kind of a
And
Mandela effect, really, because the way I remember it, it went up, the way it went up in flames, there's no way anybody could have survived it.
right, it looked like it just, you know. Oh, sorry, Armor. What were you saying?
I was like, yeah, I agree. When I seen the original, well, not the original, I wasn't that old, but when I seen it for the first time back in history, there's no way anyone survived that. No way.
You know, that's funny because I think Sagittariusly speaking thinks you are that old.
No, I was just kidding you when I said that. I knew you were going to go there.
He put you in Germany during World War II.
I knew he was going to go there, Armor.
Yeah, me too.
But no, really, I mean, when the guy goes, "Oh, the humanity," and it crashes, and you see it how it goes up in flames so quickly, it didn't seem like there would have been any room for survivors. And then a few months ago or so, I saw a documentary, and there was all kinds of survivors on that documentary talking about how things went down and what exactly happened, and they were talking about it in detail. And I was like, what? How's that even possible? Where do these survivors come from? And how come this is the first time we're ever seeing them?
That's one of those things.
So, I mean, I don't know.
And then, I mean, another part of that whole altered history with the what are they called? Zeppelins, I guess. Blimps. I mean, they're not really blimps. They were Zeppelins. There's a difference. Apparently, Germany used them a lot in the war, and that's part of the history now. Is the way it's told is they were a major part of the Germans force, like dropping bombs on cities and stuff. They would just show up with these Zeppelins and drop bombs from them. But I mean, I don't recall hearing about that when I was learning about the war when I was in school or whatever. But apparently, that's the official narrative now. I mean, that's all kind of weird to me.
No, I don't remember that at all. But not saying it didn't happen, just saying I don't remember it that way.
It just seems like it's something you would have learned when, I would have. I mean, I've just first hearing about it in the past 3 to 5 years, along with other MEs. I'm just saying. Maybe I wasn't paying attention in history class, as passing notes to a girl in class or something when I should have been paying attention. I don't know.
Hmm. Well, gentlemen, what's going on?
Well, I think it's been 10 minutes. Is your timer up yet?
Yeah, did you not? Oh no, wait, not yet. Hold on. Wait for it. Oh, there it is. Okay,
Well, let's give the room another shout out and wrap this puppy up. Put a bow on it.
sounds good to me.
All right, we got Preliminal with the Rents. Thanks for sharing that pic. That's definitely weird. Chaos Reality, Eddie the Van King, Euler Greg, Connie Joe Wood, Alone One, Zeb Johnson, Lorraine Lamour. See, who am I missing? Chaos Reality, I think we already shouted him out. We'll give him a double. That's all I see that's been talking for a while. Anyway, Robin Keneally. Can't forget Robin. Always a pleasure to see her popping in. With or without her, Kay. We love Robin. And of course, Jocko R. with a wrench. I think that's everybody. Let me scroll down and see if anybody talks since I was scrolling up. Oh, Red Shirt Blues. Can't forget Red Shirt Blues. He's been here since the beginning. All right, I think we got everybody. Hopefully. Thanks for tuning in.
My final thought is I think Red Shirt Blues wants us to make him a t-shirt that says, "Don't forget the cloud creatures," or something like that. He says it every week. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, make sure you get it right before you put it on the shirt. That's all I got to say about it.
Right, I know, right? So just
Don't
remind
send them a shirt with the wrong quote on it. That'll make it all defeat the purpose.
right? Hey, just if he wants that to be an entry, why not? Just a gentle reminder that this is the last chance for them get them entries in. Just saying.
Yeah, and you're only competing with 2 official entries, so you still have great odds. The odds are in your favor if you come up with something clever for a Shifty Sunday slogan. Do you still have the current entries wrote down?
I do.
You have them handy where you can read them real quick?
They are right in front of me. Would you like me to read those?
Yes, please do.
Here, I've got Mr. Jocko, who says, "You are not from my reality." And I've got Euler Greg. This one's pretty funny. I shifted, was it 80,000 light years to Orion, and all I got was this shirt.
That is clever.
I like that one. Now, if you can beat that one, you got it.
So right now that one's kind of like in the front is the front runner, you might say.
It is in the front runner.
We haven't voted yet, so.
No. It's not official.
No. Not by a long shot, no.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's been real. It's been fun, and it's been super shifty.
Yeah, and hopefully we get a few more entries for the contest just to give us some other ideas for slogans. Because like Heber said, just because we're going to pick one winner, that don't mean we will never use something that you send in eventually. So feel free to send in an entry.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, and then and who knows, maybe we'll do something like a second place. Who knows, something like a coffee mug or something. Well, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
No, sir. I'm all done. Just waiting on you to say goodbye in your official narrative.
Armor up.
Nope, just basically don't forget to take some time, get alone, and spend it with the Father, because it'll blow your mind and change your life.
Good idea.
I'll agree with that for sure. And make sure you check out God's Armor Wednesday Word. And I've got Thirsty Thursday.
Did you have a show last night on Dan's channel? Because I watched for it for the longest time and nothing came up.
Now, there was no after hours club last night.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it.
All right, cool. So that does it for the Hebrew channel. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and for calling in. We had some great call-ins tonight. And was that Connie?
Connie with the 9/11 stuff, yes, and Lorraine with the awesome demon story.
Cool.
Ghost stories.
Oh yeah, the ghost stories. That's right. So for everyone here at the Hebrew channel, this is Hebrew along with Sagittariusly Speaking in God's Armor saying good night, everybody. And see you next week. Hopefully.
And this is the part where we wait for him to actually push the button.
That's a good one, Jocko. He says, how about I got this stupid t-shirt by admitting I believe in the Mandela effect.
Oh.
Write that one down. That's a good entry also. Jocko got 2 entries in.
I got to write that one down. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget to let them know if you have an entry, just shoot us an email or put it in the comments or give it to us on Hangouts or however you want to do it. Just get your entry to one of us 3 and we'll make sure it gets on the list. Easiest way would be comment under the video, but that's only if Hebrew's checking them like he should be.
I've been checking them.
Cool.
But I'm
Good night, everybody.
gonna hit that red button and everyone have a good night. And God bless.
Wait, forgot to shout out Zombie Cat Club. Welcome, Cat Cub. Got to get him in there. Zombie Cat Cub. Thank
All right. Got to get the zombie man in there. Got to do that. If nothing else, anything else? Anything?
Nope. I'll wait till you're almost there and I'll think of something.
Yeah, not quite yet. Let us know. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Tucker's not changing his entry, but we'll put them both down anyhow because I like them both.
Okay.
It's Hebrew's show. He do what he want.
Oh boy. So anyway, the other day, no.
Hey, remember that time? Remember that time when we was off the air?
Remember that time at band camp?
Oh
Remember
no.
that time at band camp when we thought the show was over, but it just wouldn't end and went on for like 2.5 weeks and stuff.
We were like,
we'll just find the button.
We'll just take 2 more callers.
What was that one of Dan's show where he said, we'll just take 2 more callers and then we'll read a final shout out and then we'll get off here. How about that?
All right, sounds good.
we got these 2 more callers. I forgot to tell you guys. I have my own phone line over here. I just started it. I only told people
Psychically sent the number out, so the ones that are called are special.
right. Oh boy. It's the show that never ends. It just goes on, my friends. All right, seriously, this time I'm going to hit that end broadcast button.
Seriously, you guys, end the broadcast, Joe.
All right, good night, everybody.
Seriously, push the button, Joe. Push the button. Seriously.
Push it.
Lorraine says this.
Lorraine, it's almost sad. It is. The show is sad. It's almost, but not quite totally sad. It's sort of like gloomy, but not sad.
Okay. End your broadcast? ? Yes, I do. Good night, everybody.